Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Women on Top podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and with over 15 years of business experience, I became truly passionate about finding ways to support and hear from way more women. And what we know to be true is that women thrive when they are in their favorite position, on top in business, in relationships, in personal growth, and on top in being real and authentic to who the hell they are. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy the Women on Top podcast. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Women on Top podcast. Today, I am really excited to be sitting down with a friend of mine, but also just an incredible woman, true to the name. She is a woman on top. Molly McCartan is a managing partner at the Whisper Group, where she partners with founders and leadership teams to drive acquisitions, operational scale, and really helps with high impact growth initiatives. We're going to break down what all those things mean. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what half of that is, we're going to talk about it. She also is the founder of the MomPact, which she currently is re-envisioning, redesigning, which is really exciting. So I'm just really excited that she's here with me today. Molly, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Valerie. I'm so excited and to be able to have the opportunity to speak with your audience and dive in all things that us as women do on the day-to-day.
I'm so glad. I'm so excited to chat with you. Okay, so for anybody who is meeting you for the first time, who hears that intro and is like, okay, hold up, rewind. What is it that you actually do? Like, how do you describe the job title and the work that goes into being a managing partner?
Sure, yeah. So my background is in M&A, so mergers and acquisitions. So that kind of is the full end-to-end scale of buying and selling companies, essentially, is how I like to articulate it. And my history of working in this space, being able to change the lives of founders, has been just so rewarding and so instrumental and necessary to really keep driving and propelling women forward in our economic disparity right now. So it throughout my time in M&A, I always kind of really aligned with, working with female founders and being very passionate about advocating for women in a space that has been predominantly very male dominated. Throughout my time at my prior firm, I was able to meet this wonderful, extraordinary woman, Carrie Kirpin, who is the CEO and founder of the Whisper Group. Carrie brought me on as managing partner to lead the brokerage, so the M&A arm of the business, in addition to leading the whole partnerships and sponsorships ecosystem within the Whisper Group.
Okay.
Yes.
So just say a little bit more about that. Like, explain just a little bit to me about partnerships and sponsorships versus the arm of the business that you're supporting.
Of course. So just for additional clarity too, the Whisper Group is an exit advisory firm for women. So M&A is a part of that, but basically we take women through from scale to sale. So everything of getting your business ready to exit and then ultimately taking you from exit all the way across the finish line. So in terms of how we work and support with women, is not only representing them in this, amazing life-changing decision to sell your business is the part, I'm focused on predominantly in that space, but also aligning with experts in the space that we don't do the work that they're doing, but making sure that our clients are supported and have that team, which is so instrumental when you're thinking about either scaling your business further or ultimately prepping for an exit. So I want to make the right partnerships with law firms, wealth manager, financial experts, tax strategists, making sure that you have that true team behind you.
Okay. I have such a better understanding. Thank you. So a woman comes to you hypothetically and wants to work with you, and they are probably either in the I'm trying to grow this business exponentially, or I'm trying to actively leave it somehow, some way. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah. So ideally, the sweet spot of where we really love and really can help women the most is anywhere from 1 to 5 years before they're thinking about exit. We do work with women, of course, who are ready to sell today, but where we can make a huge impact on the trajectory of their business and really getting them the maximum valuation is being able to come in and work with them early on.
Oh, okay. So they kind of come to you and say, listen, like at some point, this is my goal. And that's when you
Yes.
start to engage in a deeper way with them to make sure that they exit well and that they're well supported in that.
Yeah, because a lot of women unfortunately leave money on the table because we're not taught A, how to maximize the growth for the business. We're not taught a lot of the terminologies and the different methodologies that you can implement to achieve that max value. So there is a huge exit gap, and that's what we're trying to actively close.
Okay. So where did your passion for specifically helping women and
Mhm.
specifically kind of in this space, like where did that all come from for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been adamant about trying to make a change in whatever company I was in, position I was in. I always saw throughout my time at corporate, then transitioning to more of the startup slash getting into the entrepreneurial spirit, that there wasn't enough women sitting at the table, and it was something that bothered me greatly from quite a young age, actually, in different components of my life. And I that was something that I actively said if I ever was in a position with some leadership slash platform, I want to make sure that we are continuing that across all different platforms. So whether that's women in leadership, giving women more access to capital for funding different initiatives or, starting businesses of their own, or educating and helping women understand that it's okay to want and ask for more and how to get there.
Okay. So how do we want and ask for more? And how do we get there?
Right. Well, it's honestly really taking the time to understand so many of the things we're not taught. People make, these acronyms and different terminology so complex, I think purposely to confuse people, to scare people, to think that the world of, potentially exploring either buying a company, selling a company, wanting to achieve a max value for what you've built all comes with just the lack of awareness. I don't even wanna say it's an educational standpoint because that wouldn't be fair because you don't really know until you know. So, I think by more people understanding the scope of the accessibility of these different entryway points into becoming either a business owner or wanting to achieve that next level of success, whatever that looks like for you, is again being able to distribute that knowledge to let women know, it's okay. It's okay to want more. It's okay to ask for more. It's okay to seek guidance on how do I get there by women who have done it before I have.
Mm. Okay, so is this seems to be a common theme of the people that you work with of women are just kind of afraid in a way or something holds them back from actually
Yes.
saying out loud, I want more for myself. And is this women who are just starting out as founders? Is this women at a certain level? Um, I guess the reason I'm asking is because I think most of us actually want more, but a lot of us don't feel like we know how to get to that next step.
Right. And that's why I think that, even for me personally, hearing women who have paved the way and done these extraordinary things with different circumstances, right? Not everyone has these beautiful pathways of success. I actually find I learn more from the people who have struggled, who share their struggles and are willing to be vulnerable. That's where real change can happen is by sharing those learned experiences of both what didn't work and what worked and knowing that there is enough success for everyone to go around. It sounds a little cliche, but the more people that we equip with success and knowledge and education is going to propel other women and other people in general to achieve success as well. And that's going to just make everyone stronger as an entity.
Yeah.
Something at the Whisper Group too is every advisor within our ecosystem has sold their business before. So it's women who have exited, laid the pathway, and Carrie and our co-founder Maggie Lord both sold their businesses. Carrie sold her business to a huge public tech company, and Maggie sold her company, which was an online wedding company, to David's Bridal during the pandemic.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's again learning from women. And Maggie led her own exit, didn't have any advisors, and was able to navigate it. It was really isolating. It was scary. Carrie had an advisor, but it was still scary and life changing. And, There were different things that she shares from her experience that she would have loved to have known beforehand, which again, she shares now publicly with women to help them.
What are some of those things that you're hearing or that you yourself have learned are those things that you wish you would have known or that these women wish they would have known in the process?
The number one thing is even if you never have an intention in your life to sell your business, build and scale and operate it as if you were going to sell it tomorrow on day one.
Okay, break that down a little more. Why?
So I say that with knowing people are like, "So what do you mean?" And what I mean is like financially making sure that everything is really clear. If someone were to come in tomorrow and look at your profit and loss statement, can they identify where expenses are going? Can you identify what income is coming in and what you're profiting easily? Because if it's not easily legible or understandable, no buyer is going to want to look at your business. And then it's also going to be really hard to set metrics and goals for yourself going forward on how to further scale and grow and understand what you're working with, understanding where is your money really going and what is the benefit that I'm getting in return. So knowing what each customer's life cycle is, what their cost is by bringing on a new customer, what you can invest back into the business, and what's your true takeaway, at the end of the day, and is that enough? And what that looks like kind of longer term. Then also thinking ahead, even though you're just starting, are you thinking through what the tax structure could look like? So what entity are you forming? Don't necessarily set something up the right way. It's not that you can't change it, but it could be a very costly and very time intensive initiative to do after an entity has been set up.
Interesting. Okay. So you kind of have to think about the end in mind. It's like any good project plan. Like we got to do a work
Exactly.
back plan here.
I always joke, how like when you're writing a paper or a dissertation, you should always write the executive summary or the intro last. After you've written the story, you go back and write the synopsis. So it's the same thing with the business. You should think of it, okay, this is where I am today. Where's my end goal and how do I work backwards?
Does this apply to even the woman who's like, well, I just want to start a little side hustle or like a little coaching business? Does that apply to her too? Or is this only for women who are like, I'm thinking I want to create an AI company?
Yeah. It applies to everyone because honestly, by having things structured and thinking through the long term from day one, you're going to be more successful in whatever scale you want to do. Even if it's smaller, if it's efficiently well run, then it's going to be less stress for the business owner. You're going to have more money in your pocket at the end of the day because you're being strategic with how you're allocating for taxes. You're not overpaying. You're being lean and efficient with your model. You can then understand if you could take on more clients or, you know what? No, I'm making enough after evaluating that I'm comfortable where I am and I'm good with that. And it gives you more leverage at the end of the day by having a really good grasp on setting things up from the beginning.
I'm thinking about the woman who's listening to this. It's like, gosh, I'm just newly starting out. This all sounds like a lot. Are there templates? Are there things that are easy to tactically go and grab or just learn that you would suggest or recommend?
Yes. So I would say there's so many amazing resources on things like that, but take one step at a time. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's more so taking that little bit of time and breathing room to understand what the key components of what you need to do to start like actually operationally and then what you'd like to do and make a plan and a checklist that seems approachable to you because not every plan is going to be the same for everyone and it is a lot. If people tell you it's not, then that's misinformation.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it though. It's the best, most exciting, rewarding thing, but everybody's initial start to building a business is going to look different. So I think it's amazing to get the learned experiences from speaking with other people who have done it before. There's so much available online, which can make it really digestible and break things down. And then seeking out people you could speak with in your network to get advice and to see what that next step is for you. And I think by doing it in such a way where it's approachable and tackling one thing at a time makes it a lot more exciting and you actually get to enjoy what you're trying to build.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a big piece, making sure you kind of enjoy the process along the way,
Yeah,
that it's not all
exactly.
terribly stressful.
No, it's going to be stressful at pockets, but at the end of the day, we always say we strive for happy and healthy exits. So we want that methodology to apply to when you're building something as well.
So You mentioned, kind of this idea of like starting with the end in mind. You kind of just touched on a little bit about like networking. What are a couple of other things that you've heard, witnessed, seen for yourself as to things that are good, like tips, or again, some of that feedback of like, gosh, I wish I would have known this, or this is something I would share with any woman who's building a business right now? What are some of those things?
Yeah, well, and why I mention network is I've heard the phrase, and I couldn't tell you who coined it, but it wasn't me, but it's one that I use often, is your network is your net worth. So I think, again, by building and surrounding people that elevate you, that are aligned with what you're trying to build and grow, is your greatest asset. And people are a lot more willing to share and knowledge base and connect just from authenticity perspective than people think. I think a lot of people are hesitant, or we live in the day and age where people are constantly trying to either sell a business or service or this or that. Just genuinely connecting people and going back to the root of things and asking for advice. I think you'd be surprised with how many people are so willing and open and generous with their time to try to help other people. And from what I see is that's the greatest kind of value add you can get as a founder, potential founder, or even if you're in corporate and you're just not very happy where you are and you want to transition, is speaking with people who have either done it before or who you really respect and admire, and learning from that experience and then trying to apply it for your own situation, lifestyle, because it's not a one size fits all approach.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I wonder, sometimes networking, we hear it a lot nowadays.
Mhm.
How do you network well, in your
Mhm.
opinion? And what are some of those strategies versus just cold DMing people on LinkedIn? Not that that can't be, maybe that is one, but what are some of
Yeah.
those things that have worked well for you or for the people that you've witnessed, your clients?
Is not saying no to opportunities that you're invited to, that you see online, that joining maybe different communities in the network that you're in, that you want to be a part of. So when I was kind of looking at my journey, I joined a network of kind of new entrepreneurs and kind of at any stage of their journey that are female founders, because I was like, I can learn a lot, I can grow a lot, and it was a great decision. And the company is called Entrepreneurs, and they were wonderful with giving me that courage, that knowledge to kind of grow and start what I wanted to build, and be in touch with so many women who were just willing to knowledge share. Again, when I joined, you kind of do an intro post, and I was sent like 20 messages after just starting from other successful female business owners who were like, I would love to do a virtual coffee chat and get to know you a bit. So that's one way. That's a really great way, is to join a community or join a network, whether it's free or paid or whatever your comfortability is there. And then I think a huge way is conferences and different, summits that are available, that again, knowing that that's the audience that you're either trying to become part of, something you want to transition to, because that not only allows the networking perspective, but also the educational component that is so important. I never ever want to be even close to being the most knowledgeable person in the room, because you always should and want to have something to learn from someone who's a little further down the line than you are. So I think, constantly learning and educating from other people is really important.
I love that. I love what you said about like, making sure you say yes to some of these opportunities. Sometimes I think, at least I have had a tendency of being like, who am I though to offer advice or get in these rooms or what have you? And I think, gosh, the more that I have connected with women like you that are just so incredible, it's been so game changing. And I just want to add, like, not only like strategically, but also for my like mental health in a way, also for my like confidence in just who I am and some of my self esteem. And I think that I never thought that that would be really like the value of the network. And I think that's become the predominant value, honestly.
Yeah, well, even and I feel thank you for that, and I feel the same way. I mean, think of what you're doing. You're amplifying people's stories and using your voice to help other people. So that's a huge driver, and you're bringing people together by doing that. So you're virtually networking thousands of people, women, cohorts together. So yeah, I mean, that's something to be really impressed and proud of that you're doing.
Thank you.
I think we all have our own ways of which we're trying to contribute, we're trying to learn, and there is never going to be a perfect opportunity. Or if it is, those are kind of a unicorn situations. So that's why when the always say yes mentality is when you're really trying to immerse yourself fully in understanding what you're trying to accomplish or trying to, pivot in your business or learn because, there will be a point where you can't say yes to everything. But while you're trying to build up your network and really find those cohorts of people that you connect with, you need to experiment and you need to. There's been times that I've made a very great effort to attend something. Maybe it wasn't the most amazing use of my time, but there's always some benefit, in my opinion.
Mm.
You put yourself out there, you tried something. Yeah, maybe it's not always the event that you wish for, but then there's been other times I really didn't want to maybe go or attend something because it was logistically difficult with my kids or whatever the case may be. I went and I'm like, oh my goodness, imagine if I didn't go to this, what I would have missed out on.
Yeah.
So I think you have to just take everything with a grain of salt, have a really open mind, and try to make every experience, even if it's not a paramount one, a learning opportunity.
Yeah, I like that actually because you're right. Every time I've gone to an event, even the ones where you're like, maybe not coming back
Yeah.
again, but it's taught me something about even like, oh gosh, I prefer to be in rooms like this, or,
Right.
something was learned, or I did meet somebody there and that was good. They might not be my forever best friend or anything like that, but I learned something from that connection. And so, to your point, I would say that it's been valuable every single time. So, I like that you
Yeah.
shared that.
And a
Wonder
lot
yeah, go
of
ahead.
feel sorry, a lot of people feel the same way you do, but probably don't want to vocalize it too, is my last thing. Like a lot of people are in a similar position as you are. So the more people that get together and vocalize kind of your thought process, maybe your insecurities about something or, you're wanting to take a jump. And again, by hearing people speak about it more openly
Yeah.
will hopefully encourage you to do the same.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking now about some of these people who do wanna take a jump, but also kind of the flip side of you've been giving us the kind of here's what to do, here's what works well. What's the opposite end of that? Because I know you see that of like, where do women get hung up? Where are some of those I mean, I'm sure you've kind of seen some big mistakes happen in this world, and, like, what are some of those things you can share so we can learn from that?
Yeah, I think again, it goes dependent upon where you are. If you're because I don't want to say that everyone is either a business owner or working in corporate. I would say from a business ownership perspective, I think that when you get so burnt out to the point that you have to sell for your either your own mental health or whether it's fiscal, you never want to get to that point because it automatically will reduce your leverage.
Mm,
And then you will most likely make a decision that might not best serve you long term because, you hit to the point of such exhaustion. And
yeah.
as women we tend to do that often, is trying to take too much on. And then ultimately it's like a fire sale is the term we love to use in the M&A world. Um, that really puts your back up against the wall and not in a advantageous way for you or, those around you either. And from a corporate lens, I would say people often make the mistake of thinking you're scared to ask for more. You think that the only thing you can negotiate is your time or
Mm,
your salary when it can't be both. That, people don't like to share these anecdotal things that might help you progress in the workplace. Or you might say, my employer won't give me a raise. Okay, well, then go find one that will because you are worth what you are asking for. It's just sometimes it's really difficult to take that leap. So, whether again, from a business ownership perspective, you never want to be in the burnt out state of mind. And then in the corporate arena, there's always another option and there's always another pathway you can take. And I understand people can't necessarily leave a job you're unhappy with because you have to plan ahead. But if you're not happy in the job, then maybe start looking for other options while you're still there so you don't have a gap in income. Or if time is really your constraint and you can't either now commute to 5 days in a week because they changed the policies back, then maybe switching to working to part time 1099 type of jobs might be a better solution for you long term. So I think it's thinking through, a lot of people feel pigeonholed, people are scared and to make a change, but thinking through that change in any way possible, kind of ahead of the point where you really feel like it's now or never.
yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much there to unpack. So good though. I love this conversation already. I okay, this is a very broad question, but I want to know from your just your mind of what you're seeing. Why are women getting burned out?
Because they're trying to do the job of about 45 people themselves. So I think, you know, women in general assume more responsibility. Again, I think there's a statistic which has probably been circulated around the internet so many times, but that I think it's 60% of women don't apply for a job because they don't think they have the credentials, where from a male perspective, only 5 or 10% of males don't apply for a job that they don't think they're qualified for. So I think that that is a huge thing about we overanalyze. We have to be at the level of everything or beyond to think that we are deemed, worthwhile for the next step, or that we've achieved whatever successes that we have in mind for ourselves.
Mm.
So I think that's a huge part of it. And then I also think women in general, whether you're a parent or not a parent, if you are a parent, that kind of adds a layer of complexity and sometimes to certain things about taking on the responsibility of the household slash your children slash all the other things. And I think that becomes really, really difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So I would be one of those people who probably falls into that, who does. Like, I'm not even going to say probably who falls into that statistic where I'm not going to apply for something unless I feel like I meet at least the minimum qualifications and likely also all of the preferred qualifications.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, did
Yeah.
I do all of them?
Yeah, because part of it is I don't want to lie, first of all, and say like, yes, I know how to do this when I don't. And then secondly, I do feel like there is something there about and maybe this is just me, but I feel like I have to prove that I do know how to do this above and beyond. And I don't know if it's the same for men. And I don't want that. This is not a man bashing podcast, but it is like, this is the challenge, real life of what I've personally kind of come up against. So is that where this kind of comes from? Or what is it about women that are like, I don't want to apply. I mean, it's not just the lying part.
No, and I think so. I think that's the other thing, right? So they have required qualifications and then preferred. I think as women, we're like they're all required. They are not. I think you never want to obviously be misleading or untransparent on these
Yeah.
applications. But I think if you hit the requirements, preferred is optional. And these are things you can learn that they would like to see if you did, but doesn't mean you have to do them or they would be required. So that's kind of like the mentality that I have. And then I always think for me personally, not everyone's the same way. I'm like, your application is your application, but I think the interview process is really where you get to bring to life who you are, showcase like why you're a great fit for them. Because you know what? As much as they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them as well. It's a two-way street. So I always like to think that if this is not the end all be all, I will have other options. And I think by not putting the pressure on yourself will allow you to not only do better, but realize that you are worth more than you probably think you are. And not to be afraid to, even if you do get your dream job or the job you really want and the terms aren't ideal or there's something that you want to change, ask for it. Because that's another thing women inadvertently do all the time is we're apprehensive to ask for more because we're like, oh, we don't want to ask for too much. We don't ask for too much. Nope. Men would be like, yep, give me that, give me this, give me that. So we should be the same in that mentality. There's a respectful way to always do things, but there's by no reason why you shouldn't petition and advocate for yourself.
Have you ever come up against resistance when you've done that? Like, yes, I want more money. I want more flexibility. I want whatever. Have you ever kind of experienced somebody saying, well, who do you think you are? Or not quite to that level, but just some of that resistance. Have you felt that yourself?
Yeah. I negotiated as part of my last job to be hybrid, where that was not a thing. They were not believers in that. I'm like, I have 2 young kids. I'm commuting every single day. I need some flexibility here because it's really not allowing me to be the mom I want to be. As important as my career is to me, being a mom is always going to be my number one priority. So we had that conversation. My boss at the time, she did agree, which was amazing because I'd proven to her. But then a lot of the younger people on the team who were not in the stage of parenthood yet, were like, oh, Molly gets to work from home. Why don't I get to work from home? Even though I was their manager, but until you showcase and prove, and again, over time, of course, people realize that you work 100 times more. It was one of those cases where you get resistance, not only just from leadership, but you could get it from coworkers and colleagues in some capacities. And I don't think it's always meant to be from an aggressive standpoint, or, some people, if you don't know, you don't know. And I don't blame people. Before I was a parent, I didn't understand that either. I was like, why are they leaving at 3? And I didn't understand it, but then they log back on from 7 to 11. And, everything always works itself out. But I think in general, people would be a heck of a lot happier if people were a little bit more mindful of flexibility for people at home. And I don't just mean parents, I just mean people in
In
general.
general. Yeah. I have been seeing some data every once in a while that floats around about how women are actually, I don't know if it's leaving the workforce or like kind of wanting to exit or just not take on as much, basically like kind of downgrade or downshift a little bit more now than they have. And I'm curious what you think about that, but I'm also curious for you because you're doing such a good job of both. Like you are the ultimate businesswoman and your ultimate mom at the same time. So how did you ever have a struggle like making that decision of like I'm going to be fully in it with both aspects here? And did you ever have a moment when you were feeling like one of those like okay, I do need to step back um in one way or another?
Yeah. Well, thank you, because it's a battle I have every single day. So, I think, actually Shonda Rhimes gave a really phenomenal talk about this. How if one day you're kind of really excelling in one thing, the other has to take a backseat. It's impossible to fully do both. But what you can do is make a conscious effort to each day do your best in both areas of your life, and then understanding that every day is not going to be perfect, and every day it's going to be hard. You're going to be tired. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it if that's something that you want. And I'm very lucky. I have a very supportive partner. And if my husband, didn't help me and equip me and, support me to be able to do what I really want to do in furthering my career, then I wouldn't be able to do this. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's having support at home and people who want to elevate you. And my kids, I want to make them proud that the work I'm doing is helping other people. Of course, they don't understand that yet because they're 4 and 2. But one day, I hope that they understand that by me, working a lot, it's to really try to help other people. And by working in the type of arena that I'm working with and aligning myself with women who are actually also, in the same kind of life point as I am, gives me that flexibility. So I can happily say I drive my kids to school every single morning and I try to pick them up as much as possible. That might not always happen, but I don't miss important school events. And that is a non negotiable for me. And there's women that, again, like a Shonda Rhimes or Janelle Tevis that I really admire, and Sarah Blakely, that say the same thing. You have to basically plan things out, have your non negotiables, and then do your best that you can on the day to days.
Yeah. Gosh, I love what you said about that. Like there is you can't do everything super well. So why are if those articles are true, why else might women be potentially leaving more now, like leaving the workforce now, or kind of choosing to take a step back now more than they have before?
Yeah. So the statistic that I is specifically, again, and I don't mean to focus just strictly on the motherhood arena, but it's 67% of working moms are not returning to the workforce. And that is because of a couple of reasons. And one of being the cost of childcare is now equivalent to a mortgage in most states, which is one aspect. The other is the lack of flexibility in the workforce. So, again, if you have certain companies that are mandating the return to office and that does not allow for people's schedules, even if they're in daycare with drop off and pickup, then how are you supposed to do both? You can't. And not every person has grandparents or a supportive partner that can do that, meaning they might have a job that just does not allow them. It's not that they're not
Right.
supportive of you, it just they physically can't. And something that I found extremely frustrating is, the maternity leave policies in general for people. And, again, that lack of knowledge with the flexibility for people in different stages of their lives and the support. So I also have a company called the MomPact, which is a tech platform that I built that will be rolling out its new iteration shortly. And I wanted a actual blueprint strategy resource for working moms who are looking to either advance their career, pivot their career, plan for maternity leave, and then also their reentry back into the workforce, and then make the FMLA, so the Family Medical Leave Act, and the different policies and laws by state actually digestible, because that's another way a lot of people are leaving money on the table. Companies don't walk them through that.
Through FMLA is one of the biggest things that people have questions about, I feel like, in the workplace. So this seems to be like an area that you're just so deeply passionate about. Like you want to see significant change. You're
I
rolling
do.
out this amazing app and resource that is going to be available for women, which is huge.
Mhm.
If that goes well and some of the work that, like, I guess the question I'm looking for or that I'm trying to ask is what are some of the changes that you wish to contribute to, that you wish to see changes made to for women?
Yeah, that you can be a mom and not have to worry about having food on the table because you want to take time to enjoy your child and have the benefits and resources that you're protected both from a job perspective if you're working, but if you're not working, then you have mental health resources if that's something that you need as well. That is not out of pocket because, your mental health, your health in general shouldn't be something that is based on what you can afford. That should be given to people as an inherent right. And I think that that is so beyond integral and something that is so lacking for people in this day and age that we need to have change. So I want to see policies change. I want the ambiguity out the window. So I want companies to help people plan for both their exit and reentry into the workforce. And I would like to just see again more women at the C-suite level and the cap table at different companies and more opportunities.
Yeah. So so good. And I believe so much in what you said too about the mental health piece because we've talked about it, but I got laid off in the summer. And that was one of the biggest things for me was, oh my gosh, I would love to have a mental health resource right now. But as you know, when you get laid off, your benefits end. So your your benefits to mental health to the EAP is no longer there. And I certainly am not interested in going and paying a ton of money out of pocket for counseling or therapy when I don't know when my next, position is going to land. And so I hate that. That's the balance that you have to choose is I'm just going to figure it out on my own versus actually having resources available. And I can't even imagine if I was a mom also, like that would be, I feel like, even more of an issue.
Yeah, but you're right though. These core rights that we have as people, they matter. And I've been laid off. I think most people in their life have unfortunately been in a position. And people who are not transparent, it is so gut wrenching. It is scary. It's depressing. It's really upsetting. It's all the things. And I mean, you couldn't need therapy more. I needed therapy when I that happened to me as well. And I think to your point, insurance out of pocket. You can't pay $500 an hour if you're not working or whatever the heck people charge nowadays. And I think, you know what, that's why mental health is such a important topic of conversation that's coming out now. And I think again, that should be a core accessibility point for everyone. Whether you work, whether you don't work, doesn't matter. That should be like a regulated government issue. That if you need mental health advocacy resources, you should be able to have that.
Why is this? And I know you kind of touched on it earlier, but this is like, I feel like this is the hill you will die on with every ounce of your energy.
Yeah, it will. It probably, yeah, it probably will.
I love it though. Like you're so like just motivated and have this love and fire about these issues, these disparities. Like, how can we close the gap?
Mhm.
What is it for you that is like, this is it? Like, this is the thing that needs to change. Why is this so vitally important?
Because we're in 2026, and despite the advancements in every facet of the economy, of society, why are the statistics getting worse and not better? Why are more women not returning to work? Why is only 4% of VC funding going to women? Why is the pay gap at a high again? Why are all these things going the other way and not the way we need it to go? It shouldn't even be a conversation, quite transparently. There shouldn't be female driven initiatives because it shouldn't have to be a conversation. And I don't care if I'm competing for someone for a job and they're more qualified for me, then they should get it. But I don't like the fact that there's not enough women at the table that you can't help but think, but what if, or what if this is the reasoning?
Yeah.
And I just, even as a young kid, I always wanted to just have the accessibility to see and drive change because I always kind of wanted to be at the helm and help and lead and do all these things. And again, a lot of the areas or the places I've worked, there weren't many women. I'm not going to say there weren't women at all, but they're very, very far and few between than what needs to be there.
Ugh, I am so happy that there's somebody like you who is doing this work. And I just want to champion, like, a partner with you, whatever that means. I mean, gosh, we just need this so much. And to your point, it always boggles my mind. Like, why are the statistics though? Why is the data telling us a story that we're actually not making as much change as we think we are? In fact, it might actually be going the other way. Um, okay.
It's really, but and I love to, again, can't take credit for this, but there's two different things. One, why is there not a term working dad? Why is there only a term working mom? That's
I've
a
never
problem.
heard that before.
Yep. That is something that, again,
Oh my
shouldn't be
gosh.
a topic of conversation in 2026. And then, not from that even perspective alone, why are we in barely double digits for women in leadership roles at public companies?
Yeah.
Barely, barely hitting above that threshold. And it becomes newsworthy when one is appointed.
Right. Yeah. And, again, we want to celebrate like the change and all of that, but it feels like we're so advanced in so many other things. And yet these numbers are not really that high. They're really not that good. So what's really going on? And then we see the other articles and things that I see that, and even apart from that, just women that I talk to that are like, you know what? I'm worn out. I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting this uphill battle. I would rather get paid less and feel like I can balance my life in other ways because I don't want to go to the end of my life feeling the way I do right now. And if that's the
Exactly.
conversation, how do we support that woman so she can continue to lead in a way that makes her feel uplifted, but doesn't feel like she's giving every ounce of her energy to a corporation that, yeah, isn't supporting her. So,
Yeah. That's something I had to learn, the hard way, unfortunately, is that, you can care so much about your job and being loyal to a company. If they decide to let you go, everything changes in a day. It's not a reciprocated appreciation and loyalty. So as much as you might feel apprehensive to, again, petition or advocate for yourself for more or a more fair work environment, or you're not being compensated, just think of it from that viewpoint. In the end of the day, you are one of many.
mm,
So as much as we like to be loyal and everything, I think it's important to just have that in your mind, like, to give you the courage to do what's right for you. I'm not saying, of course, you should always work to your full capacity and to the betterment of what you can do. But I also think if it's for the expense of your health or the expense of not being treated correctly and staying in something longer than you should, then that's not worth it.
yeah.
Because, again, things can change. And I was very, very, very lucky, again, to have such a supportive network in my own personal life of people throughout my journey telling me, I don't think this makes sense and you're not happy. And you're doing all this work and then things can change at, the drop of a hat. And then from a business ownership perspective, people who are thinking about starting a business and they're scared. Just think of it from the perspective, corporate jobs can end tomorrow as well. And by starting a business, although it's scary, why not try? Why not?
Yeah.
You don't know,
Oh,
what you know until you try it. And there's always other options if things don't work out. But don't not do something because you're scared it's not going to work.
mm, that's, I think that's a good like mic drop moment. I also wonder how do you best support yourself because you're managing so much and you've just got a lot on your plate. So what are some of those like best practices that you're like, I have to do? You kind of mentioned on some of the like, these are non-negotiables, but what are some other things? What are some other ways?
I think it's like giving yourself grace, first of all, that every day, again, is not going to be the way that you envision it, and kind of being adaptable. I'm a very type A, ultra organized person. I would love if things went the way I plan them, and most of the time they don't. So I've had to learn and evolve myself to understand that things are going to work the way they're going to work. But what I can do to best equip myself is take each day by day. I could preemptively plan the week, but then I have to be able to pivot and adjust. And again, making sure that whatever day I tackle, whatever goals I have, that if for some reason I can't get to everything, then I prioritize that the first thing for tomorrow. But the number one thing will always be making sure my kids and my family are okay. And then after that, with anything work related, getting through the priorities I have to do. And if I have a deadline, I will hit it no matter what. And then just kind of go from there and really assessing what is a priority, what is a necessity, what is something that can truly wait or not wait. And I think by you really understanding not only works what best for you, but understanding truly those priority kind of thresholds will make everything more digestible and more achievable. You'll get a lot more done and you'll be a lot more efficient at what you're doing if you kind of have your different pathways of prioritization.
Yeah, I like that. I think that sometimes as women, we easily, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but just think that we want to tackle everything in the day. And if we don't get one thing done, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't do it all.
Yeah, exactly.
To your point, it's like, okay, well, let's bucket these things. And gosh, if we get the priorities done, then maybe we feel good about that because that's the only way that we can move through this and feel good and feel worthy about like what we're accomplishing because the day is going to go a different way, especially if you have kids.
Exactly. And then just knowing that, okay, maybe today wasn't your day, but tomorrow will be. Tomorrow's a new day. And don't let the prior days, either triumphs or disappointments, carry into the next day. Try to really come with the frame of mind that this is a new day. We're gonna tackle what we need to tackle. We're gonna get through it. And I think by giving again yourself a little bit more grace throughout the process of just trying to tackle life in general these days, I think really will make you happier, make you more successful in whatever pursuit you are trying to go after. Because not everyone wants to do the same thing. Not everyone wants the same level of either whether it's working, whether it's staying at home, whether it's, wanting to travel, whatever that is for you, just making sure that you are achieving what you want to do by setting realistic thresholds, milestones to get to your goal.
Yeah. Just like honoring yourself. Have you ever wanted to give up or
Yeah, of course.
had moments where you're like, I don't know if I can do this, or like, I don't know if I am equipped enough for whatever this is? Have you had those moments? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much on like a weekly basis because I think people would not be being transparent if they did not. Before I started the business that I have, I was growing up, in an environment where although I had the most supportive family in the entire planet, it was just more so that anything beyond a 9 to 5 was very risky and very, very don't touch it. You need stable, you need this. And I, for years, was like, nope, nope. And then through circumstances, I was just like, you know what, I'm doing it. And it was scary every day. I'm like, well, I'm just not, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And then you give yourself, again, a little bit permission to be like, okay, every day is not going to be great. I'm going to have some bumps. And then what I need to learn is how I pivot and how I maybe that I think it's a failure, but it's actually just a change of direction, which so many people go through. And again, because I've heard other people before me be transparent and talk about it, I knew that that was actually a lot of people's journey to wherever they are professionally and personally.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad that you shared that. I have to ask because women like you, and for me, I put people on pedestals sometimes of like, wow, you seem like you just are confident. You've got such skills. You've got amazing background. Like you don't seem like you could be fazed by anything. And so it's helpful to know that we are in this struggle together. And so that's why I asked.
I mean, not even like a one-time gig. It's like a daily occurrence. Because you know why? We care. We care. We want more. And when you're doing the right thing for the right reason, you care even more. And you just want things and you want to do the best you can because you have pride in yourself. You have pride in those around you and you want to be associated with things that make you happy and that you can sleep at night. So I
Mm.
think again, by finding that right area that you're passionate about, something you don't have to think twice about, will ultimately get you to the result that you are hoping.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. We have a closing tradition on this podcast where I ask the guests that I'm interviewing to leave a quote or kind of final reflection for the next guest, not knowing who it is. So what I like to do is read what was left for you and then give you the opportunity to do the same. And it can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be short and sweet. It could be whatever. But I'll go ahead and read the last guest shared. She shared a quote from Isaac Newton that is, if I have seen further, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And she said that women on top need to know that other women have done work for you to be able to be on top. And if you have gone as far as you have today, it is because someone else created a pathway for you. And
I love that.
I love that too.
My what I would love to leave women on top with is that if there's not room for you at a table, build your own table. There is a reason why there are so many firsts and there's so much uncharted territories. So build your own lane, take the risk, even if it seems scary. And, if you are someone in a position where you can give advice or give some of your time, pay it forward because you are helping that next cohort of people achieve their success and dreams. And if I didn't have people who were willing to help me, to talk to me, to mentor me, there is no way in heck I would be given the opportunity that I am today to now pass that along and help people myself as I continue to still learn, grow, and seek mentorship every day.
Yeah, that's like such a perfect note to end on. And I love what you said. It's really resonating with me right now. Like, if you were in the position to be able to do something to pay it forward, do that, because other women have done that for you. And I think I could do a better job of doing that. So, gosh, you've done that for us today. Molly, you're incredible. Thank you so much for this conversation. I just admire you. I love the fire that's within you. We need women like you. And so thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning into the show today. And before you go, I just have one quick favor to ask of you. There is a really simple way that you can help support me and help support this show, and that is to hit that follow button on whatever app you're listening to the show on. I'm trying really hard to level up the content and deliver unique value and amazing guests, and just hitting that follow button is the magic that will help continue to empower that. And remember that the world deserves to hear your voice and your stories, and you deserve a place at the top.